There we go. Thank you for everyone for coming to the Thanks Network Community Update and AMA. You spoke and we listened. So this AMA is to touch base and recap on the project and the current situation and what we'll be doing. So today we'll be discussing a fair few things like the community updates as well as a product update with the community and touching base on our community incentives program, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to on, starting up in May, and also touching on the Treasury updates as well as talking about our upcoming proposal that we might be presenting in this call, and as well as taking questions from the community in thanks. So let's get into it. So the community metrics for thanks, we have seen a rough steady in decline, slow, flat decline from early this year, and hopefully in the future with our upcoming incentive structure, we can see a bit of a growth strategy going. That we are working behind the scenes. Do you want to touch a little bit of base on this, Peter?
Me? Oh no, not necessarily. I think the ideas that Miesco will present in a bit will
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
have a positive impact on the metrics that we're seeing here. Furthermore, yeah, I'm not too surprised about what
yeah.
happened. Of course,
I
all communications during the launch were about something very touchable, and now we're in a phase where we need to make it real. And the first signs are there, but if we do an even better job, then probably community participation will also rise, and you will see these metrics increase.
Yeah, I agree. So let's continue. Member interviews. So we actually did, guys, five text interviews with community members to learn about different backgrounds on why they're using Thanks, as well as what they want to see for Thanks Network, and general experience in crypto. And we did a survey. We talked about a few things, such as how old the participants were and where they're all based. And we won't be disclosing that feedback because we want to keep that information a bit private. But we got some rough estimates on how long they're in crypto and why they joined Thanks, as well as if they bought Thanks or not, and if they invest in other assets. We got a few things on why people touched on Thanks Network and what interested them the most. So, the incentivized rewards for their own token, the ability to create their own token, I felt like was the most bullish aspect of what a lot of our listeners, sorry, not listeners, our participants thought, and what problem they thought Thanks solves, and we got a bit of insight on what our investors and listeners thought. So um, yeah, and we also touched on why joining a community if it met their expectations, and they wanted to provide the community on what they thought would improve our products. So getting that kind of feedback from our participants in the survey was very beneficial to the project, and we're really thankful for those participants. And if you're listening, big shout out to you guys because you're helping grow the community by collaborating and participating in the surveys with the platform and adding value to the community. So all in all, I think the Menby interviews was quite a success, and it helped give us future feedback on what the community wants, and we'll be taking some turns and discussing later on in this AMA with the community, and yeah, I guess we'll continue on. So the interview outcomes were the ages between 23 and 40 were the main adopters of crypto and more experienced. and they're the reasons for trusting the project was the EU funding as well as the docs team. So a lot of you noticed that we have a featured on our website with the EU funding and the actual novel used for the blockchain. And a lot of the listeners were understanding that we are in the early stages of our kind of roadmap we set out. So it's roughly 3-year timeline we were discussing in the community. And we want the community to be bigger and more active as much as our community does. And general knowledge sharing in the community by our members is also very valuable. So we have a few people that do chime in and help around. It's great to see because I think long term that does really pay off. So you only get on what you put in. And yeah, the amount of updates I think is pretty good, and the content produced is good. We have no complaints from those members. Connecting a crowd of non-crypto natives to Web3 is another interesting benefit for the whole Web3 category, and that was mentioned a lot during our interviews. Moving forward, so there's no with the price, we've had a little bit of requests and asks on what's happening with the price from different members, but in the interview there've been no indifferences between all the interviewees. They're in it for the long haul, just like us in the team, holding their bags, and then not interested in any pump and dumps. Which is really great to see that they're holding their bags, supporting the project, and sticking with us as the team, and keep on sharing that product knowledge and updates to us as well in a similar pace as we all learn and grow in crypto and Web3 together. They wanted to look for ways to get the community more involved, as do we. So utilizing our own software with our thanks governance is how we plan to go forward. And the experience from the community and teaching people, educating on how to uh, really work with thanks and grasp the concept and use our platform is what our main method of this in getting people involved. So it's really it's a way that keeping people on and giving back to those people that integrate and activate with the platform. So
I quickly added this one, so maybe I can have a go, if that's okay, Philip.
yeah, go ahead.
So I just wanted to highlight one event that's coming up next month. So this one will be a real life event here in Amsterdam because DevConnect is coming to Amsterdam, which is a big Ethereum-based event. There will be probably thousands of developers here during almost 10 days of events, and we'll be hosting a small side event at our Stardock location office that's close to the central station. It will start at almost 4:30, and there will be about place for 40 people, and the invite will go out soon. So if anybody is listening and is in the Netherlands and would like to meet the team and maybe some customers or investors, then be sure to sign up for that one. Looking forward to it, now that live events are possible again. That's about it. So stay tuned for the link for the sign up.
Awesome. We'll keep going. So team updates, guys.
Yes, I think I will take this one. So recently we started a collaboration with the University of Amsterdam. We got about exactly 10 super smart students who are just starting their courses on Solidity and blockchain applications in general. That decided to pick our challenge as a subject for the coming, I think, about 4 months to work on the distribution of our protocol collected fees. Complex topic, we already had some ideas around it, but it's super interesting to see what those young minds can come up with. To give you a little bit idea of the scope, of this project. We started it off with research phase, which is currently ongoing, where we've looked at different fee distribution mechanisms. Currently, we are in a more like a design phase where the details are about to get right. And afterwards, I will take over from Miesco guiding this part and start the development of a proof of concept in Solidity. Of course, also provide the test coverage and also a UI implementation following our stack standards. So that's basically it. Maybe you can hit the next button, Philip, then we can, I think, look at some photographs. Yeah, here you got them. Team Immutable 5 came up with really nice ideas, still doing great. And the next team, yeah, that's the team Fantastic Five. You can see those guys are super creative in finding names for their teams. It all works out, and up till now we're actually pretty impressed with approaches to different challenges that they came up with. So I think this whole project stops or finishes in June or something like that. So there's still a lot of time and ground to cover. I'm curious where all this will end. Interesting times ahead. Oh yeah, maybe yes. This one is for you, Miesco.
Yeah, I squeezed this one in because it was under team updates. So I wanted to highlight that we got a new advisor on board. She's called Marloes Pomp. You can follow the link to check out her profile. She's very experienced in the blockchain space. Been working there for possibly even longer than I. So really involved in the Dutch Blockchain Coalition, which is organization working between government and blockchain-based startups. So that's also quite interesting for our network. And what she will be helping us specifically on is our road to decentralization. There is the document that describes the general roadmap. I think I posted it in Discord some time ago. It's still a rough outline, but it gives a view of up to 3 years of how we can get there and why, maybe more importantly, even why we should do this. So if you're interested on what we'll be working on there, follow the link, and probably you will be seeing Marloes in some of our next AMAs. We have the first meeting with her scheduled in about 2 weeks. She will drop by our office as well. So really excited about that one. Expanding our team, growing our network, also getting our product under the attention of more bigger, serious organizations. She will also bring a bit more of diversity to our team, which is basically 100% male at the moment, which I personally think is not the best way forward. So yeah, really happy about that one.
All right, let's keep going. Product updates.
Yeah, that's for me. Oh, I'm actually surprised about how well you can read all this. At least I can. So yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when we started mapping out various teams, which is basically a categorization of the epics that we already had. Those are the first two columns. And furthermore, it's just a classic waterfall chart to display the progress around those certain topics. So to list all the things that we had, what we have released since I think about December last year is a giant upgrade to our infrastructure. We were managing standalone AWS EC2 instances like Linux boxes pretty much manually. Currently we're using the container development kit of AWS, which syncs pretty well with our Docker environments. This is all very great from a maintenance perspective because it's less and most of all it's automated. Then for monitoring, we implemented new relics so that if anything goes wrong in our backend systems, we have great monitoring tooling to figure out what the issues are and follow up on them appropriately. Third bullet is the withdrawal queue. This was part of stabilization of our transaction of the part where the API does all your transactions and pays for the gas. Queuing all the transactions improves deliverability because sometimes a network can get clogged if you fire too many at the same time. Queues solve this. Conditional rewards are well known currently, I guess. This is where Twitter, YouTube, and well, at least we try to also embed Spotify in there, so that you can use those APIs to conditionally hand out rewards to users. Then promotions is one that recently has been added. It gives the user the ability in the dashboard to provide promo codes and let users in the wallet buy them with the engagement tokens that they earned for their engagement. And another one is deliverability. We use Infura transactions for this. It's another feature that enhances the deliverability of transactions fired by our API. All those things are focused on being able to handle large-scale requests. So whenever we have like a very popular creator with an audience that goes into the millions and he decides to share reward links, we should basically be ready for millions of requests and being able to handle millions of transactions as now. Then the protocol fee, it was integrated within the deposit feature of our asset pools. We now also integrated it in the withdrawal section of those asset pools. Fee has still been set to 0, but I think at the end of the month we plan to raise it to a certain percentage, and then the protocol will actually start earning fees over the active pools that are around there. Diamond tooling is about being able to manage the upgrades of our smart contracts. Also very important from a maintenance perspective because we can now way more easily improve, bug fix, and do other things with contracts that are out there in the wild. Error handling is something that sounds easy and just like something that we did, but the way we did it before was actually quite clumsy is maybe a good word for it. So we refactored that down, which actually also reduced all the codes that we had in the applications for about 20-30%. So that's also very good from a maintenance perspective. Then vesting contracts are being reviewed as of now. It's for private investors, so they can store their tanks in there, and it will be locked until the lock period that has been set for it. And last but not least, we always thought we needed an event indexer, which catches all the events that the blockchain smart contract spit out and puts them in our own database. But now our deliverability is so great due to ITX. This indexer actually became a little bit redundant, and we decided not to invest any more time in this and maybe pick it up at a later stage when we are decentralizing the wallets. So there was a lot of talk. Let me show some pictures now. Philip or Tispus, maybe you can quickly click through it. This is New Relic. It's actually a pretty dull screen because I think it's one of the development environments. But it displays whatever is happening on that environment, all network traffic that goes through it, errors that occasionally occur, and you can go very deep into whatever goes wrong so that you actually figure out what's up. This is reward creation. Here you see the conditional rewards. This one has been set up for a subscribe interaction within a YouTube channel, which is my own actually. You can set amounts, add some extra properties. And currently, these things are stored in the database and therefore will not crash if a transaction fails or anything like that. So this is good. Please next. This is the integration part where we, in the last few months, added 3 integrations: YouTube, Twitter, Spotify. For Spotify, we hit kind of a bummer 2 days ago. We submitted it for verification within the Spotify team. But apparently we were not fitting the terms and conditions of their API integrations, and they have rejected it. So we're now back to the design table where we are coming up with a better way of rewarding engagement within those audiences, and that's actually going quite great. So we hope to submit another request of approval within a few once. Yeah, please click it. Thanks. This is the promo codes. Oh, this is the promo codes. Not too complex, just something that I wanted to show that's also in there. You can find it under the promo codes tab next to your rewards. Let's go for next. This is where the promo codes are shown in the wallet. This is actually somebody who bought it already. If you didn't buy it already, then instead of the yellow label on the top with the code in it, you will see a big purple button with the price, and with a few clicks you can redeem your engagement tokens for that pool for this particular promo code and use it within whatever e-commerce activity is aligned with it. We redesigned the top section of the wallet quite extensively, so you now no longer have to switch networks. They will both always be available. Check your show your balances, and yeah, just make a little bit better experience of how this navigational part works. Next, this is the withdrawal section. What you can see here is that this queue is actually live, so withdrawals have certain states while they are being queued. When certain transactions are actually executed successfully, you will also see that the state will change for that withdrawal, and you will, for example, be able to hit that withdraw button. And then on the right, you have token overview. Where you will also see pending withdrawals within the brackets whenever there are any. Next. Yeah, and this is I think my last slide. This was the launch of the DWA token where I participated. So you see that Matthias here shared an Instagram story with the request to watch and like the video on YouTube. And then when you click the Buffly link, which is actually a shortened thanks reward URL, you will be redirected to this claim page, which you see in the middle. There you authorize, and as soon as you've done that, you are logging into the wallet. You'll see this big treasure chest with a happy message that you have earned those 10 DWA coins. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's all what we did in the last quarter, let's say Q1. So scheduled for Q2 are some things that are pretty big. Collectibles, for example, adding support for NFT tokens in the dashboard and the pools. Account management is something that becomes more important since we're adding two-factor authentication to the wallets, and you also need a place to configure that. With deployment wizards, we actually mean to make the experience of deploying pools and tokens even more extensive and elaborate and a little bit more easy. The payment gateway is actually some software that other companies can use to provide a payment method for your engagement token. So then we can integrate with existing e-commerce solutions even better. Security audits, we have scheduled them for our standard Web 2 systems, our centralized systems, but also for our smart contract layer once the NFT part is added. And wallet skins are actually requested by a lot of leads that we are talking to now currently. So our wallet looks very futuristic and thanksy, but a lot of clients actually want to have it look more like their own branding, of course, which makes a lot of sense. So we're also prioritizing on those types of features so that we reel in those customers. So I think that was it for me. A lot of information, but it's all being recorded, so you can listen back to it if you like.
Yes, a little bit of more insights around the onboarding and the launch of the DWA token. Yes, Matthias is a fantastic athlete, a 9-time world champion in his discipline in the bike scene. He is also a great community builder, and working with him was perfect. It was a real nice introduction of what the technology can do for an individual like Matthias. and his audience. And he really did it fantastic. He approached it like a true project, a discovery together with his trusted audience, and to see what blockchain can bring and can do for them. So what is it that we did? So we worked closely together towards his token launch, and think of strategizing his token for the next 12 months, working towards his token announcements that we have dropped into various media channels, but also what you have seen on our discords. We worked on these different media flows to make it a real natural part of his ongoing engagements in his current channels. And yes, of course, we worked out some, initial token utilities for him, but also FAQs and articles. So it was a bunch of work, a great exercise, also great development, and hopefully we can deploy it for other creators as well, and piggyback on the learnings and develop some blueprints, so to speak. This token announcement was of course followed by a video drop, which was a pretty cool one. It was a collaboration with his frame brand, Haro, and we were able to connect that with his some promo code, so to speak, to make the utility in a full circle, and to also give the opportunity to give a functionality towards the utilization of the token. Yeah, so that's there was some background on Matthias and his token launch. So maybe next, yeah, maybe before we go into these two categories, maybe bigger picture. We're working on different in and outbound biz dev initiatives. That goes from direct signups all the way up to activation out of our network. Definitely we've got two categories of interest: creators and communities. Creators like Matthias Dandois is a great example, where we're exploring the athlete market, the artist market in the music and art itself. When it comes down to communities, here we see various use cases emerging, from sports leagues all the way up to stadiums, brands that are looking towards new ways to engage with their consumers and with their ambassadors of the brand itself. And a very interesting area where we are deeply having deeply conversations is in the music industry, and we hope that we can come up with some interesting new projects in the next quarter. Maybe Mieszko, do you want to give a few insights on some of our signed LOIs? That's the typical step that we want to do after some cold biz dev out in the market, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we do is we sign these letters of intent with new protocol users, where they say, yes, we want to launch our token on your network. This includes a time schedule and also agreement that we are allowed to talk about the projects. However, I don't want to steal the thunder of the projects announcing their tokens, right? That's kind of sensitive. That's why this slide actually doesn't mention the project names. I think we need to think about how this will work in the future when we scale this up and also involve the community more in getting new users on the protocol. But in any case, I can say we have two exciting projects coming up. One is with a big nonprofit community, which has up to 20,000 active community members and even more registered ones. So that's their launch will be big, but it's still probably a couple of months away. And the other one, we are more in control. It's more of a NFT project. We are co-designing as we go. Again, I don't want to steal the project's thunder by announcing it too early. But that's the other one. And the exciting thing about that one is that it will generate protocol fees from the second version, which will, both go to the company and into the fee collector. So, that will be one of the first example where our protocol will start generating revenues. So yeah, that's really exciting, and I think that's a really big step forward. So this also brings us to the next step. So this is an invitation for everybody that's listening or probably viewing this recording. That we designed a way for you to participate to onboard new users. And this is as part of our community incentives. So we promised and said that these will start in March, so they do. Up till now, all these community incentive tokens, which we can see on the next slide, so this is our complete token distribution. All of those have been locked. So in the middle of this table, you see all of the community allocations, which were locked for 4 months, starting from December until March. Right? And the middle one is the community incentive. It's one of the bigger ones, actually. And it's only been used for the airdrop up till now, which means that if we actually start to distribute those linearly according to a 5-year plan, like we suggested in our tokenomics presentation, it's still on our Medium, so check it out if you haven't done so. We have up to 4 million tanks a year to distribute. We don't have to do this. Obviously, we don't want to flood the market with fangs when it's not necessary. But I think we should if it has a direct positive growth on protocol usage, which means active wallets, which means more protocol revenue, and ultimately, next funding rounds for our token and also for our company to grow the protocol in our company. So we made this proposal, which is summarized on the next slide. It's been on our governance forum for about a day now, and it will remain so for up to 2 weeks. And it's something I haven't seen before in this space. I call it sales mining, which basically means that you can get rewarded for onboarding new protocol users, right? So instead of liquidity mining, which rewards for liquidity, we are much more, directly rewarding protocol activity. So you can get up to 40,000 fangs. There are some conditions involved on how you can earn this, but up to 40,000 fangs for applying an active active protocol user. We also suggest that this is up to 150,000 fangs a month allocation, which means that's about half of our community incentives that are currently available. And we have also suggested that for now this should be governed by the multi-sig holders. We have some suggestions for the mechanism on how to distribute this, and also want to roll this in a 2-month pilot, and afterwards expand and integrate it into our Discord, even using our own software to distribute these incentives. So I think that will be very interesting and innovative way to use our community incentive and actually grow the protocol so that everybody benefits. So it's a big invite to go to the forum, give your opinion about this proposal, and after 2 weeks we'll take this feedback, make it final, and move forward on this. That's it for this slide. I think on the next will be something about the Treasury. So let's continue. Yeah. So this is I will not go into this today to great length. I think going forward, we'll have a continuous look in our AMA on how the THX Network Treasury is doing. So basically, these are the funds which were raised in the token launch, right? So we haven't used them for any cost or anything. They are deployed as liquidity on Balancer, QuickSwap, and Uniswap. And these are the current balances of these pools. So there is over 1.3 million US dollar in liquidity available in the Treasury. And I wanted to note that the Balancer pool currently has over 40% APR in BEL tokens, so that's a pretty good deal if you join it. I also estimate, there is quite a bit of trading activity against those pools. It varies day by day. I think yesterday was a big day for some reason, but usually it's around 30,000 to 50,000 daily. So this means that there is about $50,000 a year generated in trading fees, which goes to the treasury, right? So this is added to the treasury. So meaning even when we make our token more successful and becomes more traded, this will go up, and eventually this will be an interesting business model for the community, right? If this goes 10x, then you suddenly have quite a nice budget to pay for community activities. So looking forward and how this will develop the next couple of years, but this is a long play, right? So there is not something we will be a big amount soon. I think that's the core of it. Oh yeah, and I really wanted to also show this. This is a community contribution, one of our first. So we asked in Discord for people to help us, show this treasury activity in more detail. And Opsharp made this Dune Analytics dashboard, which shows our QuickSwap pool. Really cool, and I talked to him just before on Discord, and we'll be working to make this happen also for our Balancer and Uniswap pools. So we'll have all this data, and it will show our volume, our liquidity, and also trading fees. So yeah, that's really cool, and we'll keep on doing and coming back to this every AMA. Okay. So we can touch upon a few questions.
Yeah, let's touch.
Yeah,
Maybe
there was one question in the general chat from Nitel. What about SoundCloud support? I assume that refers to the conditional rewards. Yeah, as long as they have an API, and I guess they do have an API, we could see what types of engagement there is to be able to reward. So it's a good one to investigate, and maybe also a good replacement for the Spotify reward that we conditional rewards that we didn't manage to set up. And at least we have something music vertical. It all depends very heavily on what those terms and conditions of those companies are allowing you to do with these APIs. As long as nothing that we do is in there, we should be all good. So I hope that answers your question. Otherwise, type another message. I see Gambit is something.
Maybe I can add on that a bit, Peter. I think it's a good suggestion, and I also have I know I have a talk in about 2 weeks with quite a bit podcast in fintech, which is also interested in similar, let's say, sound service integrations. So, but because there are quite a, Spotify obviously is big, but there are quite a bit of like smaller platforms which are quite relevant and thinking about podcasts, so not about music, but more about shows and
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, look, it's even other platforms that are launching in the blockchain. LimeWire is going to be relaunched, and there's a lot of other sound platforms on the blockchain that we haven't even gone and approached yet. So Audacity, I think, is the name for one, and they have a lot of creators and stuff like that on board. And I mean, we could always go up and approach these projects if it doesn't completely work out with Spotify, and then utilize our tech for their music streaming services.
Yeah, sure. And don't forget that not all rewards necessarily have to be automated, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we those services to make the claim flow really easy, but you could also integrate on a different level with certain channels and applications.
Absolutely.
Then you don't need, or then you don't have a dependency to their API at all.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the beauty about Thanks and what we're building here. We can essentially run on anything.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's a bit important point that Peter is making. So, these platforms like YouTube, Twitter, and also Spotify, if you look, yeah, if you closely look at their terms, they understandably are against direct incentives for user actions like likes, shares, follows, because that's easy to manipulate and probably could lead to not authentic interactions,
Yeah.
right? Um, so that's why they are like hesitant to allow functionalities that enable this, like Thanks Network potentially does. And if you look closely at our API and at the functions we provide, that sometimes gives some issues. I'm not ready to give up on Spotify yet, but we have to have a smart approach in this, because what we ultimately want is authentic audience interactions, right? We want to build communities using these tools, and we don't want to reward very basic. Well, we can, but it's not very useful to reward a like or like very basic interaction. So Peter and our team have some ideas about how to approach this a bit differently, and we'll see where this goes the next couple of months.
And to my understanding, I think they base those conditions on their terms, on the fact that a lot of creators, they pay these third-party services to jump on their own channel and manipulate their own numbers for really gaming the algorithm and their own platform. So essentially, it's if they've found a way to cheat the algorithm within paying a third party company to manipulate their numbers, then it's going to go against their service. So what I think these centralized platforms such as YouTube, Spotify, and they have to grasp the concept that it's a different approach on what Thanks wants to go. Rather than manipulating, we're creating something organic in our software. So I think times will eventually open up. We just got to be more persistent, and yeah, there's always Plan B, and we won't give up.
100%, 100%. Working on that plan B currently. I also want to say that working and implementing plan B doesn't necessarily say that plan A is abandoned. Like we still have active integrations with YouTube and Twitter, and we will just leave those out there for as long as we can, while also starting to offer more and better features. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I reckon.
see what the next couple of months will bring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of brings us to the end, right? Also time-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you could wrap it up, Philip, and we'll probably post the recording, maybe not right away, but tomorrow, and
Yeah. So
for people
that
to
brings
enjoy.
us on our AMA, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I know there was a bit of a technical thing going on at the start, but we managed to go and ride things tried and true. Um, so I really appreciate you tuning in to listening to this recording and for attending and asking questions, participating, and all your feedback. It's really important, and sticking around and helping the project shape in the way that you want to see it grow. And there's a big pathway to be opened with our incentive structures that we're going to be launching, and getting more people involved in our governance structure. And it's an opportunity for you to be a part of Thanks Network, and really help out. So thanks for listening in, and we'll be hoping to have another call next month and giving you some really positive feedback on how we're going, and we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Next time.
Bye bye.